be serious about this and say, you know what it is, if God, if grabbing the bull by the horns and riding that thing, even if it runs on a brick wall, is just looking at things through your eyes and getting ready for your will to be established on earth. That's what we need to work for. Okay? And we failed miserably. I mean, how much more time are we supposed to give this thing when guys with the intellectual prowess of Alex Jones don't seem to understand or want to understand that bubbles are never good, that the people want stability, they want slow, steady progress. They just want progress. They want capitalism. They want supply and demand to work for them, for him and her and everyone. Okay, because that's what true capitalism does. It works for everybody. And the way it works is by slowly, gradually, incrementally increasing the worth of your currency. And the reason it does that is because we, as a civilized society, find easier and easier methods to produce not only the things we absolutely need, but all the things we want too. So this is the why and wherefore, the rhyme and the reason, the nuts and bolts of why your currency increases in worth and doesn't decrease. That's how you define progress under supply and demand capitalism. There's no equivocation. This is one of those arenas that I've been very keenly interested in. So I don't need a Harvard degree, okay, to become some brown-nosed Wall Street trader or investment manager or whatever the hell you want to call yourself. Okay, bull. Okay, no, I want to know why the problems persist. Okay, and if they're not teaching you that at Harvard, your degree is bull, just a lie from the pit of hell. Okay, that this is one giant fat ass pyramid scheme. That's all it is. This idea that, oh, it's okay, just let them keep debasing your currency to your cost of living inflation. Everybody understands why your cost of living has to inflate. Really explain it to me. Explain it. Well, it's a chain reaction. Yes, that's right. There's one central cause, and that's exactly the way they operate. And they don't pick on something that's not an essential human need. No, they know what they're doing. They're ruthless. Okay, they pick on what they know to be an essential human need: shelter, housing. Okay, this is why it is so utterly objectionable. It is so outlandishly evil. Okay, in my mind, it is nuts, man, that we've gotten to this point. A dog eat dog, devouring each other, divided, not understanding it, filled with consternation and angst, and just touchy and edgy, and is clinging to our opinions even when we ourselves know they may not be wholly right. That there's room for debate. I mean, especially about crony capitalism. I mean, how can you defend crony capitalism? That's what this is. That's what a pyramid scheme is. I mean, and then the government's involved. That's what makes it fascist. When the government says, "Well, yeah, but we'll get more property taxes if we can," with a wink and a nod, whatever. Yeah, it's good that property values went up, right? But they don't ever talk about. They don't ever say property costs went up. Okay, like a pejorative, which it is, and it should be, and it should never be accepted or tolerated. And we've been far too accepting and tolerating of this crap, and that's why we have so much of it. Who said the degree of tyranny allow yourselves to live under is what you're going to get? So, if the people don't wake up and smell a steaming pile of dog crap that's up to they're stepped in it up to their nostrils now, you should be able to get a hint of what I'm trying to say here. These problems don't go away by themselves. You force them to go away. Okay, extreme poverty and people dying out in the cold does not go away naturally. Not under the crony capitalist pyramid scheme system, it doesn't. Remember, we're pouring $50 billion a year into Section 8 housing. Is it getting any better? No, it's getting worse. Homelessness is getting worse. The unaffordable housing situation is getting worse. Okay, it's poverty keeps exploding. The wealth imbalance keeps growing. The division keeps growing. Is it any wonder? I mean, God Almighty, help us. I mean, I don't know how to say that any more passionately, folks, because, I've been on the brink of death, so, you know, you're on your own. I mean, your values should be in line with his values. And what are those values? Those values are you and I and him and her and all of us combined as individuals and together as one big ass family. That's exactly what we are. And unless you want the same thing for your fellow human being, I don't care what their status or position in this life is now. If it's a bum in the gutter, Hey, listen, I a lot of these people that are homeless are better men than me. I have a great deal of compunction, of guilt. I can't enjoy my stinking little life, okay, while this is going on. This is my country, and this is me fighting for my country. And I'm fighting for people to understand, to really be willing to step out into the fray, into the fight for humanity, the good fight, and jump in that pool and say, whatever it takes, Father, let your will be done on earth. And if it means I got to put down all that I believed before now is wrong, then let your will be done in my heart, my mind, my spirit, my soul. Let me embrace those same values and truths and opinions and belief systems and philosophies and credos that you embrace. Let them be mine too. And let's get it on here. I mean, this is an angry God, and it says in Scripture, it's a terrible thing to fall into the hands of an angry God. And I don't want to. And I've given him plenty of reasons to be angry with me over the years, believe me. So we're all the same. When it comes down to it, we're all rebellious. We all seek escapism. The division thing, I think, is really invented because by nature, I don't think that we're not like that. We're not pissy. You know, we can understand the concept of a community and people living together in harmony and peace and safety and security. Okay, so that's injected. All that, you know, Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, socialist, capitalist, all that crap is injected into it to muddy the waters. It's super easy to muddy the waters. And that's one way. It's sort of like, you know, my guys have to win. If my guys aren't winning, that means your guys are winning. By default, that means my guys are losing, right? So that's how it is. And so it's like, you know, no, you know, I'm just going to wait. You'll see when my guy gets in and, you know, we kill your guy or whatever, you know, the case may be. I mean, it's sick. This is satanic. The devil is in the details of this quandary we're in as a race. Okay, we're screwed up to the nth degree, okay, through and through. Okay, we are screwed up as a species. And that's what I'm talking about waking up to and saying no and just saying and telling the people in charge, we can't let you do this anymore because the future generations are going to hold me accountable for what I did or what I failed to do. Just like Jesus said, whatsoever you do or fail to do for the least of these, you do or fail to do for me. Now here locally in Chico, California, we happen to have a multi-billionaire from what I understand. It's this guy that started the Sierra Nevada brewery. And this guy is very likely, in all likelihood, quite capable of establishing some kind of a basic income for people in Chico. And this is an area that's in dire need of it, desperate need of it. I mean, there's so many guys that would love to be working more. They're underemployed. I mean, there's only so much work. I don't care what your job is, okay? There's only so many jobs in that field available, period. Okay, and that's the end of, you know, understand there's far more people willing to do the jobs that are available, okay? Do you understand how this works? I mean, I'm not saying that, you know, for the really aggressive ones that are determined enough that they can, you know, you can make it. Yeah, and if you've got good credentials and you don't have a bad record maybe and, you know, on and on in that theme, then, you know, of course you can. You got the right attitude and all that, you know, good hygiene. And, you know, there's a lot of factors that go into being, you know, steadily employed. But, you know, the nut just keeps getting harder and harder for people. That's the point here. And it ought not be that way. That's not progress. That is regress. And that's my point is that, you know, people have no idea when they talk about minimum wage and they say, oh, $15 an hour is outlandish. I'm thinking, okay, let's just take a snapshot in time. Look at the buying power of minimum wage in 1965. Okay, what could you do with that minimum wage? I'm going to tell you what you can do so you could do the math for yourself. You could buy a house, a mortgage. You could pay a mortgage so your family had a place to live. You had dignity. You're a homeowner. You're entering middle class, right? Success, prosperity. And you could afford to pay all the bills and, you know, have a few bucks left over, discretionary, or what do they call it, disposable income perhaps. So you go to the movies or something, go out to eat or something like that once in a while. That's how I remember it being. because our family was on a very low income. My dad was disabled at a very young age. He got multiple sclerosis in his mid-30s. So I remember what it was like. And we're talking about less than minimum wage that he was probably getting, relative. So the minimum wage was about $1.50 an hour at that time. So if you look at it today and ask yourself, you can do the math. So you do your own research so that there can be no mistakes, so you don't think I'm being hyperbolic, because sometimes I am hyperbolic, just to make a point. Like I'll say, what's supposed to happen is, if we're making progress, is that $5 in your pocket turns into $5 million. Well, yeah, but that's, long time. It's gradual. It goes to 6, 1 year, the 7 the next, and on in that theme. So gradually, that's the progress. It's seen through your cost of living declining and the worth of your currency by default increasing. So you could do your own math and figure out what it would cost for your wife to stay home, take care of the kids, and have a car, and go to the store and shop, and not be on welfare, right? So go ahead, figure it out for yourself. That's still grueling, because it's a 40-hour work week. So you've got to devote your life to some crappy job. Last week I was talking about all the jobs I've done, but I missed a few, and I probably missed some others. But, of course, I was a real estate agent. I had my license, so I can't do it. My conscience won't let me. And if I was going to do that business, I would revolutionize it. I would. That's one of those areas you've got to make it like law. In other words, you've got a defendant and you've got a plaintiff. So there's definitely a reason to have two distinct sides. And so you need a buyer's representative, strictly for the buyer. And that's how I'd revolutionize it. But I was a courier when I was 19. I was trusted with large sums of money, thousands of dollars, which was, comparable to tens of thousands maybe today, maybe hundreds of thousands. But I also worked at a 7-Eleven when I was in my early 20s. That was in Santa Cruz. I was a courier in Santa Cruz too. But the 7-Eleven in the early 80s, that was quite a job. I did graveyard. I did a few different shifts, but I tell you, we used to get these gangs would come in, and they would come in and just steal half cases of beer, whatever was in the refrigerator, and walk out the door. And the clerks are really too intimidated to even. These guys are so calloused about it and so nonchalant. They walk out the door like, you better not call the cops, sort of thing. Maybe you're not even looking at them, but you could tell they're probably pointing a finger and, But, hey, you call the cops later, and you got to report it. I mean, it's theft, right? It's all under the camera, so they know who's doing these things. So the cops have all this information, but it persisted, and purportedly it was some Korean gangs in town, and who knows, back then there was a lot of Bloods and Crips going on around Santa Cruz, so I don't know what the hell it was, but it's very intimidating. It's a very tough job. I mean, very dangerous too, they say, is working at these convenience stores, but it was quite an experience you'll never forget, I'll tell you that much. I also worked for the California Department of Forestry, clearing fire roads up in the Santa Cruz Mountains, Bonnie Doon area. It was quite an experience. If you ever broke your tool, you got too carried away and overexerted your tool, you would have to shout out, "I'm a fool, I broke my tool." I had to do that once, and that was the last time. And I didn't know I had to do that until, I don't even know if I had to do it. It's just one of the guys on the chain gang there. They'd take these vans, fill you with people, and take you up into the mountains really early in the morning and do this work, but mostly done by hand, mat axes and stuff. I don't remember a lot of chainsaw use, but since then I've used a lot of chainsaws. But I've done plenty of carpentry, and I've done roofing and plumbing, electrical. I've done mechanical work. I've done a lot. I've had a lot of life experiences, and but one thing I really would enjoy doing at this point in my life is getting some of my ideas out there for the public to benefit from some of my innovations, and that's what I'm trying to focus on now, and hopefully, God willing, but I can't worry too much. You know, I'm really in a one day at a time state of mind, and I get more one day at a time state of mind kind of guy with each passing